We've been working on this for getting on to 3 years now, this campaign specifically, asking that Lucy be moved. We have tried a number of things. We've approached city councillors. We've brought in a zoo check to help. We've contacted the sanctuaries who have offered to take Lucy and transport her free of charge. We have tried to raise awareness by going down to City Hall and getting the media out and standing in front of City Hall, giving presents to the councillors and just to bring some attention to this whole issue. Now, Voice for Animals, way back in '97, when there were some changes at the city, we wrote a report recommending that the city change directions. So it's been over 10 years that we've been trying to get the zoo to look at this whole issue of keeping animals captive in small cages and come to a different conclusion about it.
My name is Melissa Murphy, and a couple months ago when I was unemployed, I thought I could spend my time more usefully than I was, and I decided to start a little group that we call Friends of Lucy. Obviously there are other groups that have been working on the Lucy issue for quite some time, and really all I wanted to do was a slightly different take, maybe cover off a couple of the things that the other groups were not doing. Not that they are neglecting Lucy, I'm not saying that, but things like trying to get out to the zoo more often. We started a paper petition, just like I say, trying to complement what they were already doing. Elephants in general need much more space than what any zoo can provide. And then, of course, here in Edmonton it's compounded because Lucy is the northernmost elephant in North America. Our climate is simply too cold. She's confined for weeks, even potentially months at a time indoors, and it's contributing to ongoing health issues. And I always think of it like with a person. If you were diagnosed with heart condition, diabetes, your doctor would treat you with medication, but he would also tell you that you have to have a lifestyle change. And of course the zoo is doing a lot in treating Lucy's illness, but they are not dealing with the underlying causes of the illness.
Her enclosure here is absolutely inadequate. I think both the barn and her outdoor enclosure is less than ½ an acre in size. The floor in her barn is concrete, and outside the ground is hard packed dirt.
And the fact that she is standing so much is contributing to both arthritis and chronic foot infection. And chronic foot infection is actually the #1 cause of death in captive elephants. So the fact that she has those conditions, it can become quite serious. Potentially, it's life-threatening. The other thing I'd like to point out is that the zoo's story, if you actually look back through the history of what they've said about Lucy, the zoo's story for keeping her here does change. It changes from one year to the next. Most recently, they've been talking about her teeth, about how she has a malpositioned molar. Carol Buckley, who is the founder of the Elephant Sanctuary, actually said that to her understanding there is no reason why a molar would cause a problem with transporting an elephant. And the other thing is that elephants have different teeth to any other mammal. Elephants actually have 4 sets of teeth. They have movement of their teeth. Their teeth actually naturally crumble, and they either swallow them or spit them out as they break away. So the fact that she has a molar situation still doesn't mean that that isn't something that's improving itself. The zoo has even mentioned that it may just improve naturally without them having to intervene. But again, we'd like to have somebody else take a look at Lucy and actually tell us what is going on.
Like the whole concept of zoos seems so obsolete. It feels like something out of the 18th century. And this idea of capturing animals and putting them in an enclosed circumstance in a totally alien environment, it just feels unnatural, and it feels primitive somehow to do this. Or maybe that's the wrong word, but it just feels totally unfair. But to have these large mammals. One thing that really stood out to me that I heard is that ZooCheck evidently offered to to pay for an independent vet, a large animal vet, to look at Lucy. Evidently she's been looked at a regular vet who's not specialized in large animals, but they offered to pay for the bill, and yet it seems like the Edmonton Zoo is totally unopen to any kind of input or evaluation. If they could have an assessment done like that by a large animal vet, independent, we could really get some independent information, and it wouldn't just be this asset of the zoos that they're protecting.
They've got, Milton Ness, who is a small animal vet, and they've consulted Dr. Oosterhuis, who is an expert but he is well known to be, a huge supporter of both zoos and circuses. He's a mouthpiece. He's who they go to, who circuses and zoos go to if they want to keep their elephants where they are. And I mean, that's not hearsay or anything else. There's lots of, proof and facts to back this up. He, in fact, he was the only dissenting vet when they wanted to move Maggie. They had 11 vets in to have a look at Maggie and decide whether she should be moved or not. 10 of the vets said she could be moved. Dr. Oosterhuis was the only vet that said she couldn't be moved. He okayed 2 elephants for Hawthorne, the notorious renter of elephants for circuses, said they were healthy enough to perform. Within a few days, they were both dead. So he's got all kinds of there's all kinds of bad stuff following this guy around. And yet the zoo, of course, they don't say to the public who it is that they're consulting. They just call him a professional.
On the IDA literature, as well as Voice for Animals, Friends of Lucy, there's 2 sanctuaries where these groups feel it's acceptable to move Lucy to. Can you tell me, first of all, what are these sanctuaries, and what do these sanctuaries have that a zoo can't provide?
Well, the 2 sanctuaries you're referring to are PAWS, the Performing Animal Welfare Society, which is in California, and the second sanctuary is the Elephant Sanctuary in Tennessee. Personally, our group, we always give preference to the Elephant Sanctuary for one simple reason, actually 2 reasons. They have nothing but elephants. They don't have any other animals. PAWS have elephants. They also have other animals. They have, for example, large wild cats, that kind of thing. Not that they keep them with the elephants, but they do have multiple animals there. In Tennessee, they are focused strictly on elephants. The other reason we focus on Tennessee is they have 2,700 acres, which is a massive area. It's the closest natural area that an elephant can live in North America. PAWS, their area is much smaller. I believe it's 75 acres. So again, it's still many, many times larger than what an elephant in the zoo is given, but however, it is just a drop in the bucket compared to Tennessee. So
the elephant sanctuary is probably the very best for elephants. Not only do they have like thousands of acres to roam, but they're also completely free as to whether they want to come and go. They can go into the barn at nighttime if they want, or they can stay outside. So they have total freedom in the area that they're in, and for that reason, it's probably the best sanctuary. Now, PAWS is also very good. The elephants are in at night, but they're on a soft substrate at night when they're inside. And I guess they do it for security reasons. But again, the elephants do have a lot of sort of a varied terrain to roam on. There's water, there's hills, there's meadows, there's trees, all the kind of things that an elephant would need to keep healthy and happy.